This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications, with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer, where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.
In the background of all of this, there have been so many train derailments. There's a woman that filmed a video about a train with all these cars that is just sitting out in the middle of farmland in
Nebraska.
No, California as well. So you've got that going on. It's like nobody knows what's in the carriages, nothing's marked. It's weird because it's not normal stuff that goes on. The other thing is, where East Palestine is where so much of America's farmland is. And
And the balloon.
Well, that I didn't know.
Went over the spot of the derailment at the exact same time.
Well, let me say one last thing. And this theory blew my mind, and there's nothing to prove that this is true and accurate, but I think it's a fascinating thought trail. And it's this. The Amish have essentially been unaffected by COVID. It's not to say that they didn't have COVID cases, but they didn't take the shot, they didn't buy into the fear, and the Amish did what the Amish do, and they're fine, right? We didn't have a wipeout of the Amish population. The Amish also serve as a control group because they exist according to their own rules. We are seeing a huge uptick in cancers and everything like that. The vinyl chloride is a huge carcinogen. Where did all of this happen? It happened in an area where they've poisoned the environment, where there is a large population of the Amish. You're wiping out a control group, because if you expose them to this carcinogen and then they all develop cancer because of the environmental toxins, your control
and
group
to see
is
how
gone.
far it will reach, because the Amish are in Pennsylvania and Ohio. In Pennsylvania are close enough to where there were people in Pennsylvania seeing,
correct,
and were able to smell the chemicals.
Correct.
Which is the second you've smelled it, that means you've been exposed. So
Yes.
in this article on Natural News, I don't know if you've been hearing about the DNA mutations that are already happening to people that fast, because
not from the vinyl chloride.
Correct.
No.
Because of the dioxin that it pushes out, right? So what's crazy is also the reason why in World War I, when we used chemical warfare, well, it was the Germans who used vinyl chloride, which to create toxic gas, right? And now we have treaties around the world that you can't use chemical weapons in any war, even in World War II, we did it, right? So because of this, but the crazy part is the DNA mutation. And then, of course, the MyID thing that, yes, MyID is at people's hospitals when you get a blood test now or whatever, but not in the fact where it's like, here, wear the bad, and we'll come to you, right? So the fact that MyID rolled out literally 2 months prior, most people in the town hooked up to it, so now they can know instantly these weird situations about DNA mutations. And the scary part is, like, they're playing with also the shot. Some of the stuff that I've been researching is that if you look at how COVID was done, then you look at how the shot was done, and now you start messing with biochemical warfare aspects, it's testing it in a different way, like the inverse way, like to where it's seeing DNA mutation. And also that the burning of chloride compounds is a top cause of cancer. So that's what's like really getting me about this thing, is like how now if And I'm happy Trump went. But if you notice, even he didn't show up for weeks. The head CEO didn't of Northern or Northern Group or whatever train didn't show up either. The governor showed up and went, "I'm getting out of here, leave," and never came back after they fucking burned it. Right? It's like they waited for it to be clear enough before they started showing up, or even that's why Mayor Pete. So when they keep saying, "Why is Mayor Pete not showing up?" or "Why?" and then they make it now to where it's like, "Well, Trump showed up." It's like, why did Trump just show up yesterday and Mayor Pete today? They waited weeks to make sure all that shit was cleared out.
Well, the other thing is there was also a photo op today that I saw of them, a group of men standing around a kitchen drinking the water from the tap. I mean, if you watch it,
It's horrible.
None of them are actually drinking, and it's
smart water in the corner.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
well,
the bottle, you could see it, and that it was like down to this much.
The other thing is that I don't think a lot of people realize, people were originally offered $5 for the inconvenience of what happened. And then people said, no, we're not taking that. So then they were offered $1,000 by the government per person for the inconvenience of what happened. And then people have been advised not to take the money, just because if you take it, then you can't be a part of a class action lawsuit later on, because once you accept payment, that's it. But here's the thing, people are being told it is safe to be there, it is safe to be home, but then being told, when you go home, throw away every piece of soft furnishing, fabric, wood, essentially anything that could absorb what's been in the air. You have to throw it out. Now, the issue with this is people's homes are made of wood and porous materials. So essentially their homes are uninhabitable, and they're being told that they can't sleep on their own mattresses because it's not safe, but yet it's safe to be there and be home.
Right.
None of it makes any sense. I think this is going to be something that we are going to see the effects for a lot of years to come. You've got a look on your face.
I can help you make some sense of it.
Please.
What was the reason why we went into Iraq for Saddam Hussein?
Oh, weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist.
What kind of weapons of mass destruction?
I don't even know.
Biochemical.
Ah, okay. Biochemical weapons.
Correct. Ukraine, when this thing started a year ago, what was the first thing that popped up that we all went, what?
Oh, the biolabs.
The biolabs. So, if we could put it on my screen, Brian, this is Elon Musk after Jordan Peterson 2 days ago put what the fuck to Biden about how Putin just spoke and said how he's because the U.S. is saying go attack Crimea, do an offensive. That's Russia, right? But Elon Musk, but nobody is pushing this war more than Newland. And everybody's like, who's Newland? But you remember Newland from last year. She was the lady who, when we asked about the biolabs, right? Remember the whole biolabs thing?
Yeah.
And we brought her on. She's older, but then there's a video of her from younger. And her husband was all part of the U.S. invasion of Iraq, relying on the false claim that the country had weapons of mass destruction. But what's crazy is when you go into this thread about how this was the woman, she testified, how she was the architect of the Iraq war, and how if we don't support the victim in this aggression, then this aggression will be replicated all over the planet. Nobody's pushing this war more than Newland. She's the one who talked about it to the Senate last year about, yes, we do have biolabs there that we have funded, but they're not what you think. They're level whatever, and blah, 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 blah. So if you think of Palestine, you think of Iraq, you think of now the reasons to go into Russia and the biolabs and the Ukraine shit and all this weird shit, it's bio warfare that they've set up to COVID. In Palestine, with the China balloon, they're all connected all at the same time.
Yeah.
Then they just showed the pictures from the space, what the balloon looked like. I don't know if you saw those yet.
Oh, I saw something earlier today.
right? You saw it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it looks a little fake to me. Right? But it's weird that, you know, it happened to be going over that area of Ohio, and now we're in this thing where if you go to the mainstream news story today, at this moment, as we're speaking right now, China calls for Russia-Ukraine ceasefire as claims to neutrality are questioned. But then it's like China's saying it's going to back Russia. So it's like they're just kind of throwing in a weird, like, oh, we're going to try and call for a ceasefire, right? Ukraine ain't going to do that, and neither is NATO. But what's happening is this is about a massive way to distract off everything that's happened over the last 3 years. Because if you start having, I think what we're about to see is the balloon thing is going to be, one, a realization that the balloons have been around. Because if you actually look at, it's going to take me a second to get to that picture. The balloon, right, like the Chinese balloon is crazy because it has the same CCT cameras they use in China for social credit systems, right? So it's like, have they been just doing that the whole time above us without having to put them on street lights, where they're actually trying to see, maybe because our 5G phones and stuff, they haven't figured out the algorithms, and that's why AI has come out to be able to do that better. But now you also have, at the same time, this weird bioweapon Ukrainian situation with, now they're just like blowing up out of nowhere because it's not a controlled burn. It was an uncontrolled burn. I last night covered it, but there's a video of a guy who's in every major case of like chemical issues that he's always hired by attorneys to go into courts and find out what the reason was. And he goes, that's not a controlled burn because it's all open air. In controlling the burn, you control, like in your car, the air and fuel ratio. Because that was an uncontrolled burn. If you smell it, you're already fucked. And if you think about the DNA mutations that were already happening, within a week, people were already feeling weird and doctors were already seeing DNA mutations. And that's actually what happened if you look in 1918 in the World War I. But now you start thinking of all these places in Ukraine where you have all these fucking bio labs that the U.S. through Ukraine funded and we're part of. It's kind of a scary moment here when you get all the shit now about to go into massive war and blow up one of those and say there's a biochemical issue. Think of the weather right now, and we're about to have snow.
Yep.
Here in LA, the Hollywood sign of snow right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Just before we started, I was reading an article about how there was a light dusting of snow on the Hollywood sign.
And it hasn't even hit the storm yet.
I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow because I'll be in bed.
It's the first blizzard since 1989.
For the
this
California
area.
mountains, yes.
So, you know, it's going to be 65-mile-an-hour winds here tomorrow with fucking rain, and that it already started snowing under 900 feet, so we might see snow on the ground at the beach. But the weird part is, if you think of the weather weird shit that they've been controlling, and they just blow up the right fucking biolab, talk about wanting to lock people down.
Absolutely.
Especially that we're coming to the exact weird astrology of the repeat of 2020.
Well, the other thing is, for me, something that I did look at in the last few days, I went down a rabbit hole, and I'm sure it's stuff that you already know, but I think it helps to bring it up again just for those who don't necessarily fully understand. Everything that's going on with Ukraine and Russia, it's not necessarily that I'm on Putin's side, but I'm definitely on Russia's side. And the reason is, what the media doesn't tell us is that Ukraine for years was bombing everybody in the Donbass region, just bombing them relentlessly and killing all the Russians. And then Russia has always said, I don't want the United Nations on my doorstep. I don't want them here. And the UN kept moving in and moving in and moving in and moving in. Everything that's happened has been about them trying to provoke Russia. Right. And they did it to a point where he's gone, all right, fuck you, I'm going to deal with this. So I look at what he's doing with the whole nuclear thing. And while I find it scary, I actually understand why he's doing what he's doing.
Yes, but I talked about it last night that actually it's a little bit scary because
I think it's a lot scary.
Because of the way that he used religion as the whole context of it.
How did he use religion? I haven't watched.
Oh, if you watch the speech, it's all about, of course, and I agree with him on pedophilia, that the U.S. is just a place that honors pedophilia, the sanctity of a man and woman. I mean, you know, but then he then goes and says, well, in Russia, we're all about freedom, so if you want to be gay too. So it's kind of like a weird thing, but he mainly goes into the Christian way of that America has lost its connection to God, right? So this is starting to sound like Hitler, right? And very right-wing authoritarianism, and also breaking the nuclear treaty, right? The last one that was left, and saying, well, if they play with any nuke testing, which they could just say that they want to, then they're going to go test more nukes. And then this now makes it to where Iran, North Korea, there's no creating treaties, and already Biden took that away, right? So the scary part too to me is like it's making people join the side of Russia by saying the things we want to hear, which is very KGB, right? Very KGB. The KGB's number one goal is to convert Americans to be on Russia's side. That's been known for 80 years. And boy, does he do a good job of hitting every note perfectly. But at the same time, he is right when he's saying that this is a war of the West that's provoked it. We don't know the Nord Stream 1 thing, except we know the Substack's out showing that it was American U.S. divers working with Sweden and Swedish divers and all that stuff, and getting it to where they didn't exercise and they were able to get down there. And then Biden wanted the ability to be able to send the bomb whenever it wanted to go off on his note. So they had to tune it correctly for the right sonar. They had to have a plane drop a sonar and send the exact frequency that would trigger the bomb so nobody would know who did it, right? I read the whole Substack. So it's one of those weird moments to where it's like there's been all these weird things that it's like, you know, who, like I've been saying, who's really playing what side? Are they all working together? But the scary part is how many tanks are all there. And then now it's about jets. And now Boris Johnson came out yesterday on CNN here in America and said, hell yes, I'm telling everybody back home in the UK, and I'm here to tell everybody here in America and President Biden to send F-16s, and we're going to send our jets and da-da-da.
To Ukraine.
To Ukraine. When now, today, Putin just told his military to now load up in their military defenses, which would be like us going to DEFCON 2, right? Or sorry, like up to DEFCON, DEFCON 2. Add a nuclear, you know, aspects to this is armed. So it's going like really fast. And then China out of nowhere goes, oh, wait, hold on a sec. A peace treaty possibly, or a ceasefire. Ceasefire means to figure some shit out. It doesn't mean peace treaty. It just means to try and buy some security, because we are now no longer, I showed this last night, Kyocera, which makes a majority of all the chips and all the phones and stuff, just pulled out of making shit in China, right? Because they're like, we can't do this. And also it's now, there are no shipping containers. So a year and a half ago, we couldn't have enough. We needed the shipping to come in.
Where did the shipping containers go? I mean, they don't just disappear.
There's no more money in the American economy to buy even Chinese goods. And the shipping's the cheapest it's ever been. They're already in China, but there's no money in the economy. All these big corporations have these money, and they're not making the shit.
Well,
look at the egg situation. Look at the to where there's going to be nothing to buy left. There's going to be nothing around. So think about when they do hit a biomedical or bio center, and they've got the weather, and then here's the Chinese spy balloon pics, right? So it's like, why are these things so high up? And this is one picture. This was the actual picture with the selfie from the guy in an actual F-16, actually. It looks a little fake to me, but
Yeah, absolutely.
okay, right? And then, right? So
here's the thing. At those altitudes, because if you're flying a plane, the pressure from the atmosphere would crush you, right? If you were a human sort of standing out there at those altitudes. How can a balloon withstand?
well, we've
altitudes.
been using those balloons for those altitudes since the 40s and 50s.
Really?
And
Okay.
even what was Roswell about? Remember, it was a UFO? No, it was a weather balloon. Right? So debunks Roswell, and they say it was a weather balloon. Hold on, I have to find it. Roswell balloon, and let me just do a pic, image, and here. Same thing. So they're setting us up in every way the same way. It's a signal. The weather balloon is a signal to the world. The way I used to use Tom Hanks about COVID things.
Yeah.
The next big thing's coming when Tom Hanks shows up, right?
Yeah.
It's like the secret signal that all of them know. The weather balloon is the Roswell signal. But think about this. If they would have shot the balloon down in Montana or anywhere else, right? Then it would have become a Roswell site forever. So this time they went, if we do it over the ocean, then nobody's going to take their boat. Most people don't have boats. Most people won't go. Nobody's going to go out there. Because Roswell today still makes money off. This is where Roswell was. Right? And it was supposedly a weather balloon, but there's a lot of proof that it was a Nazi UFO that we tried, right? And the other big story that was yesterday was the fire in Tennessee at the plant to where they created the atom bomb with the nuclear uranium there. And then they've brushed that story to the side, which that's the craziest of them all. Because I said that a Fukushima-like event with nuclear shit was about to happen on that Monday, Tuesday. And I'm like, I'm sorry it was a day off, even though Russia pulled out of the nuclear treaty on Tuesday.
That's what you were saying on Deep Astrology.
And then on Wednesday morning, boom, fire in Tennessee at the uranium. And that's exactly what you heard during Fukushima. The uranium and all the fucking radioactivity and the materials. And that's what's crazy is it's all about to pop, like the balloon.
And it feels like it's all about to pop.
This is High Vibe TV, the uncensored, guided, and community-based video TV network with content recorded and live streamed from the world-famous High Vibe TV studios. High Vibe TV delivers daily, weekly, and special programs focused on astrology, spirituality, history, community, and more. This is not your run-of-the-mill astrology and tarot. This is the future of spirituality, illuminating new ways the collective can step into the dawning of this exciting new dimension. The highest vibe is truth, and the truth always prevails. Download our awesome app on the Apple and Android stores so you don't miss our notifications with special spiritual insights curated to the energy of the universe. Search for us on your TV with our exciting TV apps on Apple TV and Roku. Catch our vibe on your computer, where you can join in on the live chat with our amazing community and blog. Watch spirituality like you've never seen before. Download our apps or go to highvibe.tv. Subscribe now.